everyone, welcome back to RTS and welcome back to our 4 for 4 series. Yes, so today we are going to work on layout number 2 and it's absolutely going to go so quick because we're only going to work with 3 pieces of paper. So you have all of your papers here in a pile, right? Yes. That's what you have. And then, of course, you know, you have your cheat sheet because there's no way you can remember. And I've been working on this series twice now. I created the series and I still can't remember what my papers are. So that is the most important step of this series. You have to write that down. So, okay, with our pile of pre-cut papers, we are absolutely going to pick 3 pieces of paper for our layout number 2. And of course, I'm going to be working with 2 photos, but that doesn't mean you have to, okay? So for this layout number 2. Yeah, sorry. I had 3 thoughts at once. Oh my goodness. Okay. So what we're going to do for your number 1 paper, which is this right here, you're going to do your 6 by 5.5. Okay. And you'll know because that was probably your inspiration piece. And then your number 2 paper is going to be this 6 by 12. And then your number 3 paper is going to be this 1/2 by 12. Okay, so again, number 1, 6 by 5.5, almost looks like a 6 by 6. And then your 6 by 12, and then your 1/2 by 12. This is paper 2 and paper 3. So 1, 2, and 3. 4 doesn't even make the cut this time. No. So, okay. Don't worry about that because it will. Okay. So then when you're picking out your backgrounds, and if you already have your photos decided on, you can, you know, we picked 4 backgrounds. Okay. And so I'm going to be using this ivory for the filming purpose, but my layout will definitely, I will be using this wood grain. But I was afraid my papers wouldn't show up. But that is definitely what I'm doing because I have some outdoor wildlife photos, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, but for filming purposes, I'm going to use this ivory because I was just afraid it wouldn't show up. Okay, now also, I want, before I start talking about the placement of these papers, remember you also have, if you had any pieces of paper left over from your last layout, bring them forth. And so this is what I had left over, this is what I had left over. So I will leave them to the left here or to the right, wherever you want it to be. And that will remind me that I have these little things that I can play with, okay? And then if this looks a little bare for you as we do it, don't remember, you still have your bonus sheet you can play with, and then you also have those 6 by 6 papers and those scraps, so don't be afraid to add more if this is just not cutting the cake for you, okay? But I definitely want to show that you can just use a few pieces of paper and make some nice pages, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to use 2 photos on this layout. So we have 3 pieces of paper. So, of course, you know, I am a horizontal girl, so what I would have done right off the bat, right there, bing, bang, boom, I'm done with my page. Yes. Yes, I'm done. I'm done. That's what I would do because I'm a horizontal girl. And sometimes I have to make sure I break out of that. That's a habit I have, okay? So you definitely can put this in the middle and you can play with this piece to whatever your heart desires. You can bring it over here or you can bring it over there, okay? And then you also, let's just flush this down here at the bottom. Okay, and then you can bring this down even more. Okay, and this is, if you had a long title or you some journaling, you could put a title and a journaling right there, definitely. Okay, and then also you could absolutely flush this to the top once again, and of course with the 6 by 12, pay attention to the direction. See how my leaves are going in the right direction? Pay attention to that when you put that on a page. And then you could use that 1/2 by 12 as a header, and then you could come down here and you could place this in whatever manner. And again, my florals are going in both directions. I could put this here, I could put this here, I could even come down here, make it another extension here. It depends on, like if you had 3 photos, this would be a good design. You could put one here, one here, one here, and this could be your title and journaling, or vice versa. Okay, you definitely can do that. So don't be afraid to play with this paper in whatever manner you want, okay? It doesn't have to be that way. So now let's go to the vertical sense of things, and where again you could create a band design, and that would be where the 6 by 12 would be exactly in the middle, and you could put this here, okay? And then you could put this up here, and then you could put your photos. You could put your photos down here. If you had a lot of journaling, that would be perfect. Use that as a journaling block. You could put your photos down here. And then you can run your title up through here. Run your title over there. No, wrong way. Love that. I love how those photos look just like that. Because I haven't decided how I'm going to do my layout yet. But I know I'm using these 2 photos of these deer. Yes. Okay, and then also too with the vertical, you move it to the left. Okay, you can bring that down here, bring it up there, flush it over here. There's I like that. I really like that. Yes, Mikey likes. I like that. That is very pretty. Very pretty. Okay, now, then you could also flush it to the right, okay? So, what's that called? The electric slide? Yes, we could do the electric slide, okay? And so, right there, just in those matter of few minutes, right there was 6 page designs, just with those 3 pieces of paper. Again, you could put this up here, you could shift it down here, shift it over here. That makes a nice design. Now, let me stop for a minute for 2 page gals. Let me show you something. This is a beautiful design for a 2 page right here. Take your 1/2 to the edge, meet this up, put this right here, and then on the right side of your page, you're going to do an asymmetrical look, okay? So this is your left, okay? But on the right, you're going to do this. Okay, I'm on the right. I'm on the right side of things now, okay? And then you would do the same thing, but it would be, is that symmetrical? No, it would be asymmetrical, right? Yes, okay. Or however, you would just flip that, and that would be a very pretty design for a 2 page. You could get a lot of photos on that spread, okay? So don't be afraid to do that if you're a 2 page gal. And then also too, if you're a 2 page gal and you like it in the vertical sense or in the horizontal sense, you do the same thing, just flip it. Or you can cut this in half. Absolutely cut this in half, because one of this is a 6-inch piece. And then you could absolutely break that up and carry that band across, okay? If you wanted to do that on a 2 page, okay? So again, as you're building this and you're deciding where you want these papers, okay, don't be afraid to remember that you have this edge punch, okay, and then you have this bonus. You could create another piece of paper if you wanted to. Like I could add this, okay, I had cut that on the last page. It didn't make the cut, but I absolutely could add my bonus. If I wanted to give more, I wanted to see more, okay. Look at this, okay? Now, I would probably flip this because I would see the green above the brown dirt. That's how I keep things in my mind, which way I want it, okay? And pretend there's a seam there, okay? And then I could put this up here or down here, wherever I want. That makes a beautiful page, too. Oh, very, very pretty. So, again, if this is looking a little sparse, break out that bonus sheet, break out a scrap, and add to it. You just can't do it wrong. I'm just going to say that a million times. Can't do it wrong. I love that. I really like that. Oh, well, okay. Well, let's just keep that there for a minute. Okay. I likey. Okay, so with that, if you want to add a piece of scrap or a bonus, if this is looking too sparse, go right ahead. But then don't forget, you also have your washi that you could add in any place you want. Any place. This is wood grain, so you know I'm going to have to break that out. That, you know, and then you could use that washi here and then at the seams and at the bottom, or just one, or you could use a variety. I mean, the screen would be pretty too. So don't be afraid to use more than one washi in more than one place, okay? And then you have the addition of our texture, which would be our ribbon and our twine. That would be perfect for outdoor pages. And then I had this, okay? Now I'm thinking, I don't know, you know, of course I'm dealing with deer here, so I may use this as my texture. It kind of feels like, you know, a little bit of hair. You know, maybe that could be the deer fur. Yeah, I'm stretching it there, but you know what I mean. Okay, so don't forget that. And then also, too, we had our pile of border stickers. I mean, look what else you could get in. Okay, so there, I could definitely add in a border sticker there. Let me see if I have something that has a cut. Oh yes, I have this yellow. Look, I could take that yellow and I could have an edge up there. So there, I just really made that. Look how big that design already got. And what did I do? I added 2 border stickers and a bonus sheet. So don't be afraid to make your design, your background design bigger if you want to, if the 3 little pieces is just not enough for you, okay? And again, whatever we showed, don't be afraid to flip. And sometimes when I'm working on pages, I have to tell myself, get out of my comfort zone. And sometimes, now just like a little bit ago, I had put those photos side by side. I don't know if I would have entertained that, but I like that. So don't be afraid to play around with your photos. If you're always used to doing it one way, for a chance, and in this series, maybe break out of that comfort zone and do something a little out of the norm, okay? And then just use, you know, instead of stacking photos, there's nothing with having them side by side. The only thing sometimes is you have to pay attention to the direction. And of course, I have direction in both, going to the left and going to the right. So I definitely could do that. Okay, do that. And don't forget, if you pulled any 8.5 by 11 for matting, you could definitely use that too. Don't forget that. Okay, and I wanted to say this for this layout too. How about you think about your texture, okay, of course with your ribbon, and also too with the burlap and the cork and things like that. But how about, what did you pull for your favorite embellishment? Okay, what did you pull? Okay, perhaps give that a second look and play with that on this page, okay, with your textures, but maybe a little emphasis on what your favorite embellishment is, okay. See if it'll work with this page you want to do, okay. And of course, wood veneer, I'm dealing with outdoors. Anything you're doing in fall and outdoor, wood veneer is the way to go. So I think that is what I have. Oh man, whew, that takes some muscle. I think that's what I have as far as showing different designs. Again, it's the same as we did in layout 1. We just now have different pieces to play with. But again, it's going to be a middle design, to the left, to the right, the electric slide, turning it, going up, down to the bottom. And there's absolutely, I mean, look at that. And I'm coming down to about 2/3 of the way. And I could sit here literally for hours and I could play with this. And so right here, instead of spacing everything out, I left the background 2/3 basically open, and I just shifted this down. I have about maybe a 1.5, 2-inch piece right here, and then I put this piece here, and I'm just giving a visual, you know, and I have these 2 photos, okay? You could absolutely anchor one here, and then you could come up here with your title, journaling down here, use this as an embellishment. You don't even have to put a title or a journaling on there. Use that as an embellishment. So there's another idea. Okay, let me see if I can come up with one more, because I like doing this. Okay, so now let's see what we could come up with in a vertical sense. Okay, well, we definitely could cut this in half, because one side of this is 6 inches, and then we could extend this and put one piece up here and one piece down here, and then that would give a bigger band, and then you definitely could play with some scraps or some of your texture. But you definitely, depends on your photos, you could absolutely take your photos and say if I had this cut in half, and half is here, and half is here, okay? And then what you could do is take your 2 photos, and how about, you could even flush this over. That would be really pretty. Oh, hey, how about if we do this? How about if we would take some ribbon and just extend this over a little bit more, okay? You could even put this ribbon on top of that strip. Oh, yes. Okay, you could do that. And then how about, I don't even know if I was in frame, I'm sorry. And then how about if we would take our 2 photos and we would stack them, but we would make a bigger mat with that. Because remember, we had our bonus sheet, okay? And we also had, if you chose to do that, you could absolutely, now I would be cutting these down a tad. You could make a mat. Oh, that almost works. Yes, it does work. Okay, you could make a mat, and then you could absolutely cut this, make a strip out of that, or you could use this as an anchoring piece down here. Yes. Oh, pretty, pretty. Look at that. Oh, so it's a vertical sense, but then you're taking your photos and you're putting them in a grid fashion. So there you go. There's another idea. And then you could keep building. Okay, I could add some washi with my 1/2-inch border sticker. I could come over here, I could add some washi, I could put that with some ribbon, and I could just keep on going to town. Yes, absolutely, okay? And then you could put your title down here, a little bit of journaling up here, or how about do your journaling in a different format this time, okay? Or do a title in a different format, okay? There you go. Or if you have some dead space in your photos, put your title down here in one of your photos. When's the last time you did that? So, okay, I just have to stop. We'll just be here for 25 hours. Okay, so that is some ideas for layout number 2 with those 3 pieces. Play and play and play. You can't go wrong. Okay, so I will be back with my finished layout using these 2 photos and these 3 pieces of paper. So hang on, I'll be back. Okay, so here is layout 2 in our 4x4 series. So how did I take my paper and where did I put them? Well, my 6x5.5 I used as an embellishment, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. And then my 6x12 is here in the horizontal band, and then my 1/2 by 12 is right there on top of that band. Yes, and I'm running out of room already. So, and that's exactly what I did. I went in the horizontal band because it seemed like with my photo orientation, it seemed like it fit my scene really well. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. So of course you can see, what did I add to my 3 pieces of paper? I added a border sticker, some ribbon, and some fringe ribbon. Yes, love all that. Okay, so what I decided to do with, of course, I used my wood grain background, and then this 6 by 5.5, I took the 6-inch size and I cut a 1 by 6, and I used it up here is for my top. Is a topper for my embellishment cluster. Okay, and so you can see I have my 3 clusters. Where's my little pointer? My 3 clusters are right here. And absolutely love every one of them because they were so simple to do, as in like 34 minutes simple to do. Yes, okay. And so up here, at the very top, I used a border sticker, okay? And so with that border sticker, you see it has notches at the end. Of course, you can use scissors or your hexagon punch to make those notches. Or if you have a banner punch, you can absolutely use the very end of that punch to create that notch. And so that is a fancy pants border sticker. How I remember that stuff, I don't know. But I know with any fancy pants border sticker, they have never measured 12 inches. I don't even know if Fancy Pants still does border stickers, but I just know from the past that Fancy Pants are never 12 inches. So in order to make it not look short, I made it look intentional. So I cut it down a tad and put those notches in. And then I used my number 1 paper and I just brought that cluster down forth. And so then you can see these 2 pieces here, they were left over from my layout 1. And that's what I did. I just utilized them as they were in that size. I didn't do anything. I just used them as little die cut pieces. And then of course coming down to this cluster, I used some leaves and a die cut that was from this Jen Hatfield homemade die cut pack. That's where those came. And then of course I had a couple little stragglers that was from the last layout. I just cut them in leaves, and that's how I did that. And I'm going to talk about those leaves in just a minute. And then of course I hear this small little cluster. That is half of that die cut right there. I just cut it in half. Well, actually 2/3. That's a 1/3 and that's a 2/3. And I used it down here underneath this fringe ribbon. And then down here in this cluster, I have 3 elements. I just have 1 piece of that die cut, and then 1 enamel dot and 1 little word sticker. And so let me talk about those word stickers. They came from the jelly bean soup. What was that? Mushroom medley. Yes. And they are in red. And I added them here in my clusters. And of course, these little word stickers, they may be little, but they add to my story because they say, take a hike, adventure, outdoors. Of course, all talks about the outdoor and wildlife and that type of thing. And so even though that they're red, I paid no mind to that because of the wording that emphasized my story, and then also too the visual triangle they make. So if you have a supply you want to use on your page but it doesn't match your theme or your color, no worries. If it makes a visual triangle, it will look intentional rather than just misplaced. So don't worry about that. You can introduce as many colors as you want. If you get it in a visual triangle, no one will be the wiser. Yes, absolutely. That's how you get away with it. Okay, so of course I had said, you know, of course we're going to use texture in this round, and of course I have some ribbon here, and then of course I got a fabric brad, I got a corduroy brad, and then I have this lovely fringe ribbon that makes me feel like deer fur. Yes, that's what it reminds me of, and so that's what I used. And let's see, what did I want to say? My title says velvet, and I used it in my wood green alpha, again to emphasize my mood and feel, make it feel like you're outside. And what was I talking about? I don't know. Okay, so let's just go up here. So of course you see I have these die cuts and these this leaf, and how I angled it this way, because as you're looking at the page, I hope I was in frame, sorry, that you're taking this die cut and you're using it on purpose as a directional piece. Not only is it pretty and it's decorative and it's themey, I'm using it as a decorative piece to, or directional piece, I'm sorry, to point toward this cluster, because then your eye's going to come right down to here. You're going to look at the photos, look at the cluster, and then you start all over again. That's the purpose of a visual triangle, and I will have that video linked below if you want to really sit down and look at visual triangles. Okay, so for this cluster then of course I added my brads, because remember I said not only with texture, we were also going to work with our favorite embellishment on this layout, and so I broke out my brads. I mean, I got a squirrel brad and a corduroy. Love those corduroy brads. If anybody knows where I could find any more of those, please let me know, because I love those things. And then a brown brad and enamel dots and that type of thing. So this cluster right here not only serves as a cluster, but also to a holder for my title, and then also to my subtitle of why, because this photo is of 2 deer that are in the velvet. And what does that mean? And they have a velvet texture on their horns, and the whole purpose of why they're in velvet, what that means, and my journaling will go right here, and I'm going to explain all of that because my brother and I had a little educational session the other day. And so I was asking him questions. Why is that? Why are they in velvet? Why is it on a certain time of the year? What does that mean? And you know, it really has to do with the anatomy of these wildlife. It's amazing what all of that means. Okay, so my journaling will go here, and that's why I put the subtitle of why, because that is what this layout is about. It's not just about pretty photos that my dad happened to snap, which aren't they awesome photos for wildlife? Yes, absolutely. And so he had captured them on his trail camera, which, long story short, he started his trail camera journey because of scrapbooking, and that'll be some story I share someday. So that's interesting to know that he's doing this now because that I had shared scrapbooking with him in the previous years. That's always a fun story. So let's talk about these leaves for a minute. Because basically, once you use those 3 papers, add in some fun things, put your 2 photos in, bing, bang, boom, you are done. Yes, okay. Now, let's talk about these photos for a minute before I talk about those leaves. You see how these photos are not matted. I'll shift it up just a tad. They're not matted, and they don't have any photo corners. They are simply 2 photos on a piece of paper. That's all they are. And why did I do it this time? Because these are outdoor photos. So if you see, of course, you have the white-tailed deer in the photos, but then they're outside. That's elements. So my green paper I chose on purpose for that background. And so then if I just leave it as it is, no adding anything, you really do think that you're looking outside because of that green, because of all the green in the photos. So that's why I purposely did not add anything in this vicinity, because I wanted it to look like a scene from outside. Okay, so that's just a little tip you can do when you're playing around with your photos. Okay, so now let's talk about these leaves for a minute. So if you can see on this die cut leaf, it is very flat and it's just adhered to the page, which of course I use my quick dry. Love my quick dry. And that is this Scotch quick dry, which doesn't look like that, but it's still the same. And then over here, if you look at these leaves, how they all have dimension to them. So sometimes when I'm working with outdoor pages, okay, and that's why I use the leaves and stems, because you find that element outside, is that I will purposely take these edges and I will either bend them up with my finger or I rough them up. It depends on what layer of the die cut is how they're made, okay? These ones from Jen Hadfield, they have like a very top thin layer, so sometimes you'll see that separation of paper. Okay, and I will simply just take my finger and I will just bring those edges up. And so then you take one boring, well, I don't want to say boring, let's just say a not so exciting die cut, and you bring it to life. And now it makes you feel, you see, you got that dimension and texture. Now when you put in a page protector, not all of that will be that height, but you'll still get some of that representation that you had, that these edges had been folded up. Okay, you'll get that. Okay, so I just wanted to add that, so when you're actually dealing with outdoor photos, make your die cuts feel like they were outside. Not everything is smooth and flat outdoors, and so I brought that forth into my leaves. Okay, just a little fun little element to add to your page. Okay, so that is basically layout 2 for this 4x4 series. Now the next layout we have will be layout 3, and of course we're going to use 3 photos, and I'm going to try my best. I don't know what for photos I'm going to use, but I'm going to try my best to do something in the vertical format, okay? Because you know me, I love this horizontal. Absolutely love that. Okay, so if you have any questions about layout 2, how to do your papers, if you need any help, just list it below. I will definitely help, as well as all the other people that are doing the 4x4 series. And also too, if you would like to share your layouts or your progress or anything, especially your kit for the 4x4 series, you can definitely use hashtag on Instagram RTS Scrapbooking or hashtag 4x4 series, either one, okay? Because I know a lot of people are sharing things on there, so please do that. I don't personally do that, but you are certainly welcome to do that, okay? Because the more people we have to scrap together, well, that just makes life more interesting. Yes, does it not? Okay, so that's all I have for layout 2. Come back in a couple days, I think in a day or two. I'm not looking at my calendar, and we're going to be doing layout 3. Yes, how fun is that? Going very fast. Okay, that's all I have for today at RTS. And remember, when you're pulling out your 3 layouts, or your 3 photos for layout number 3, it does not have to be 3. And you certainly can use your scraps and your 6x6 papers, and also to your bonus sheet. Don't forget that, because I haven't really pulled that in just yet. But you never know what I'm going to get into on layout 3. Okay, come back to RTS, because you never know what we're going to learn. Bye!